My name is Simone Joyce. I'm the co-founder and CEO of HighlyLikely. So HighlyLikely has a tool for people who run busy businesses that might not have the in-house skills all the time to update their website on a daily basis. Everyone keeps their social media pages up to date, but ignores their poor old website. So what we've done is created a way that they can have one account to update both their social media pages and their website. And it looks lovely, native, not clunky at all, and it means that their website then reflects what they truly do in their business. The story of HighlyLikely is the story of my journey through startup land. 3.5 years ago, I was at uni doing a degree, which I have not finished, and my now husband was working in a job that he wasn't particularly happy with. We saw an advertisement for something called the iLab Germinate program. I was at UQ, so we thought that would be a good thing to apply for. We had this idea that we'd sort of been kicking around for a while, and to our utter shock, we got in. And that sort of changed our life forever. I was so new to the tech space that when people talked about the Valley, I thought they were talking about Fortitude Valley, so obviously Silicon Valley, and it, I guess, set us up for an awareness of the startup scene. We had no idea about it. From there, we developed what was called the Perch Project at that time, which dealt with hospitality venues in Brisbane, and we were looking at a very student-based market at that time. As the years went on, we realised that there were a few tweaks we needed to make, and then we realised there were some large tweaks we needed to make, and we were crippled all the way for the lack of a tech co-founder. Steve Baxter has famously said that you can't have a successful tech startup without a tech co-founder, and I used to rail against that and think that's not true. It's pretty true. If you want to be dynamic enough to do what you need to do when you need to do it, you need someone on board who has a vested interest just the same as you. When we started out 3.5, almost 4 years ago, there wasn't as much noise in the tech space and the startup and the innovation space as there is now. Back then, you know, I'd be doing the school run and people would ask what I do, and it would take me half an hour to explain what a startup was, why I was doing it, and how I was doing it. So now it's more accepted, and it's more, I wouldn't say accepted, I'd say now people are more aware of it. So there's a lot of products out there that will help you create a website if you're not skilled at coding. You've got your WordPress, you've got your Squarespace, dare I say it, Wix, and that's fine. It still takes a lot of time though to actually get those up and running. Then you need to go into a really complicated dashboard to actually put a new post on. That's not something you're going to do every day. If you're running a bar, you've got staff to deal with, you've got customers, all you've got time to do is snap a quick picture and chuck it on Facebook. What we wanted to do was provide a tool that helped them manage their social pages, but also update the rest of the world and keep their website relevant as well. There is more ideas than there are tech co-founders, particularly in Brisbane, well, all over the world, but Brisbane is, you know, predominant for that, I think. So we had to outsource almost everything. So we've dealt with freelancers. We started in the Ukraine, then we did some work in China and India, most recently in Israel, which turned out to be the best experience. That was a real struggle. Obviously, time zones are different, so you need to be awake when they're awake, answering questions. Language barriers were huge, particularly with the guy from China. He could speak code and he could speak Chinese. I don't speak either of those things. So we'd video chat, he'd want to video chat, and we'd both sit there just nodding at each other and doing the thumbs up and typing furiously. And obviously coming from a background where I wasn't particularly tech savvy, so a lot of the problems I couldn't troubleshoot before they started, and that was a big learning curve for us. A lot of the decisions we made back then I would not make again, but it got us to where we are now, so that's good. But I would say that that's the major struggle for us, is finding a tech co-founder, and a lot of people are having that struggle right now. I think the main thing with making sure that developers are constantly moving forward is to make sure they understand the business goals. I find a lot of the time in I guess, larger companies, not that I'm a large company yet, that I've seen the developers are just working on this project in a vacuum. Understanding the greater idea and the greater cause and where we're going with it next and what the next milestone is, I think it's really important for motivation and also for interest's sake. For myself personally, I'm constantly developing whatever skills I need. I needed skills I didn't even know I would need. So any mentor I can talk to, any course I can go to, any book I can read, I do, because if I don't have what I need mentally, then we all fall down. When I first started, it was like a really outlying, crazy thing to do. Now it seems that, you know, every third person you run into has a startup. So I would say that a lot of people misunderstand the concept of a startup. So I think that there's more and more people starting a completely valid and viable small to medium enterprise that might have a digital presence. It doesn't mean you're a startup. It doesn't mean you have the scalability and the profit potential that a startup has. And I don't know, I guess my litmus test for that is the customer acquisition to staff ratio right? If it's a startup, your customer acquisition's up here and your staff's down here. If you have an online shop, perhaps that's not the case. And I think that that's great because people are obviously thinking outside the box in ways to have a lifestyle and a job. But I think there is a downside to it because the space is getting clogged. So things like the innovation grants and that sort of thing. If you're not innately a startup and you're applying for those things, you are clogging the process for other people. There is a quote, I don't know who said it. It was, having a startup is choosing to live for years like no one would want to, only to live for years like no one could dream to. So that's inspiring, I guess. For more information or to create a Highly Likely account for your website, go to highlylikely.co and you'll find all the information you need there.